Good afternoon. I, CA Day, on behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI, welcome all the participants in today's webcast on From Problems to Possibilities, the skill that drives growth. I welcome to today's resource person, CA Nakul Arora, and others present over here. Now, let me introduce our speaker for today. CA Nakul Arora isn't just a chartered accountant. He's a leader, a communicator, and a highly sought after educator in the field of finance. His impressive credentials speak volumes. A member of the prestigious Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, CA Nakul Arora boasts rigorous training in accounting, auditing, taxation, and financial management, even earning exemptions in strategic financial management, a testament to his exceptional aptitude and dedication. But CA Nakul Arora's expertise extends far beyond the theoretical. He is a highly accomplished speaker, having delivered over 600 sessions on technical topics ranging from professional standards and taxation to business analytics. He is equally adept at communicating soft skills, having conducted more than 350 sessions on interpersonal communication and leadership, showcasing his ability to connect with audiences on both technical and personal level. His leadership capabilities are equally impressive. As the founder and managing partner of his own firm of chartered accountants, he's not only built a successful business but also actively contributes to the broader accounting community by leading ICI conferences and debate groups. This demonstrates his commitment to fostering professional growth and intellectual discourse within his field. CA Nakul Arora's experience isn't confined to the boardroom or lecture hall. He's worked with a diverse range of prominent organizations, including Barco, Visit Health, Policy Bazaar, OneCard, Savills, Saxo Bank, Hilton Group, Saxo Rockwell, Mosaic, and Max Life, showcasing his adaptability and expertise across various sectors. His extensive speaking engagements across India on topics like compliance with technical and professional standards, ethical standards, and quality control and audit documentation further highlight his deep understanding and commitment to excellence. Finally, CA Nakul Arora's dedication to education is evident in his numerous contributions to online platforms, sharing his knowledge and expertise freely, helping to uplift the accounting profession. He's not just imparting knowledge, he's fostering a growth mindset in his audience. We welcome you, Nakul sir.
Much.
We may now begin with the presentation.
Okay. Morning, and I'm very warm, thankful. I'm really thankful to Millie Day for your wonderful introduction. That was really a lot of words. I hope that I'm able to justify it in the coming 1 or 2 hours that I'm going to speak on. So today's topic is a very dynamic and a very out of the box topic for the chartered accountants. That we are not going to talk about the regular, precise skills. Today we will talk about the problems turned into possibilities. So, I mean, one thing that I'm sure about is that people are supposed to ask this question. I'm not saying that I'm like you guys are asking this question, but if you are not asking this question, then my question is that why exactly are you in the room? You are in the room because you have this question, that you know there are problems with being a chartered accountant. There is definitely a lot of challenges that we face as a professional. But what are the problems and where is the possibility? So we recently saw during COVID times, the Prime Minister also came on screen and said, like, changing the problems into possibilities. That is one big thing which everybody is looking forward to. Before I start my topic and give you the precise skills that you will be needing and how you can develop those skills. Today it's just an introduction day, that how many skills you'll add, and suddenly you'll see that your problems are becoming the possibilities. Right? First thing first, we are making sure that you learn skills so that within the perspective, within the scope of your ethics, you're able to deliver more and you're able to grow higher. We do not ever, we will never ever want any professional to go ahead and step out of the ethical boundaries and then develop their skills. Because marketing, branding, we'll talk about those skills. We do talk about those skills in the certificate course on the professional skills as well. But we make sure that those skills are more crucial for chartered accountants, because you will have to and focus on and develop those skills very precisely. They have to be within the ethical boundaries. So every one of us faces problems in our workspace, sometimes it's our team, sometimes it's our business, or even in our personal lives. Now many people ask me, work life balance is just for peace of mind. I'm sorry, it is very crucial for your professional success. And if it is your personal success, every chartered accountant of ICAI, their professional growth is directly impacting the growth of this profession, the growth of the accountancy profession. So even if you're having a personal life issue which is affecting your profession, we as ICAI or institute definitely wants you to develop over it and conquer all the phases of your life. So I'm just asking you, have you ever noticed that the people who grow fastest, now just close your eyes and imagine. I'm not saying the people who grow the fastest have to be trained in a specific institution or somebody specific is taking care of them. No. But close your eyes and think about the people who have grown the fastest around you. Don't think about the big names which are on the TV. Think about your neighbor, your batchmate, maybe your OC mate, or maybe your MCS mate. The ones who've grown the fastest were the ones who used to lead, innovate, and inspire. Believe it or not, someday or the other, before they grew, when they were nobody, they were inspiring you with something. Maybe it was their waking up schedule. Maybe it was their going to the gym every day. Maybe it was just as simple as the way they eat. So I remember that when I was in my MCS, so we come from the northern part of the country, so we have a certain way of, we dine in at any way we can stand and dine, because that's the culture. Because many people have that buffet system where we don't even have seats to sit. That friend of mine was very particular about finding a seat, a table, washing your hands very carefully, and eating in the way anybody will eat in home. But still, the level of hygiene and the level of precision was extremely out of the box. Like, I mean, you could never find her untidy. Like, finding one bad crease on her trousers would have been a find of a century. So that's the level of management that person had. Now I know that is not a big deal. It was just one thing very particular about management. Only one inspiration. No, the same person was leading everybody at times in different phases. She had the ability to innovate. Now I'll tell you one thing, it is very difficult to find people who are inspiring in one division and waste in the rest. There are exceptional parts of everybody's life. Somebody has some issues with the hygiene, somebody has some issues with the punctuality, but rest are good. So more good issues, more good parts of a life actually define that a person will be successful or not. Most important skill out of all of them, there are exceptional things, like maybe somebody is very unorganized but still successful. Maybe somebody is very boring, very lethargic, not very inspiring, but still successful. The most important skill that everybody who attains anything in life is they do not seem to run away from any problems. How do people not run away from problems? They reframe them. So once a situation comes, there are three or four very standard responses everybody has. And the fourth one is standard, because that's the response of successful people. One of the most common things is that, okay, you try to struggle through it, you try to sail through it, you ask so many people, and then you end up coming with a solution or not with a solution, or handing the problem over to your colleagues or anybody else. Second reaction, which is more common nowadays, is stop thinking about the problem, go take a break, and then come back and try to resolve it. There is one more reaction, that run away from problems. There are many people who start to panic. There are many people who start complaining that everything goes wrong with me. The only thing different about certain people is they reframe their problems. Maybe they just sleep over the problem. Sometimes they say, okay, if you're having a problem at the last hour of the day, try and leave that problem at, just write the problem down and go back home, sleep over the problem, come back in the morning and attend to it. The only thing that we are trying to change is a perspective towards the problem, right? So every challenge is not a death, but a doorway. And the challenges are so different. Your challenges are not my challenges. My challenges are not anybody else's. So everybody has a different challenge, but if you start seeing those challenges as doorways, for example, the challenge is that one of your biggest ticket, one of your biggest clients is going away, and you are having a certain, a level of uncertainty in your practice in the next 1 or 2 years. If you have practiced with care and you have the funds for the next 1 year, I think you will see it as okay. We have some time availability. We have some, priority availability. Why don't we give that priority to this other clients or maybe some other business lines, some other courses which I, as a chartered accountant, can do? And why don't we think in that perspective? So it is just about perspective. Watch a problem with a separate perspectives. And what exactly we are going to talk about today is the shift from problems to possibilities, the skill that truly drives growth. Because today's fast changing world, technical knowledge alone isn't enough. I'll be reiterating, alone isn't enough, but technical knowledge is not negotiable. You must have technical knowledge. If your technical knowledge is updated, please make sure you are continuing the professional education. All right, just give me a minute, please. So if your technical knowledge is not up to date, chances that you guys will have a problem in future are more than anybody else. So my point is, if you have technical knowledge, so first 100% assurance should be that you have technical knowledge, you have technical expertise, you can solve problems. Because yes, we will solve problems with different perspective, but any perspective will need a technical level of expertise. So now I'm saying, today's fast changing world, technical knowledge alone isn't enough. It should be there. Then what is required? What will differentiate two professionals, one who has technical knowledge, the other who again has technical knowledge, but there will be difference in their success? Why? Whether you are a chartered accountant, an entrepreneur, or a leader, the ability to transform the obstacles into opportunities and complaints into creativity is what will define your success graph, right? So let me just show some skills that you definitely learn through these. You can learn them via the ICI's modules. You can learn various. There are various platforms that you can learn these on. But my job is to first tell you that what skills are there, right? Just pulling up another presentation as well, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to make a multiple PPTs. So make sure that you have the difference in difference in style of presentation, so you guys can enjoy it. It's a Sunday, so of course an important Sunday today. So first skill is communication skill. The second is interpersonal leadership, stress and work life. I told you that affects your professional growth directly or indirectly. Then, of course, professional ethics and integrity. And this is the core of all the skills. That if you have any skills and these skills seem to be stepping up a boundary of ethics and integrity, then it's a problem. Thinking skills, use of technology, and of course, branding and networking. These are the key soft skills that we tend to and we aim to learn at ICI. That helps chartered accountants. If you have any other skills you want to talk about, you can write it in the Q&A box, and we can definitely discuss them while we have a Q&A session in the last 15 minutes, I suppose. So Right. First skill, let's talk about communication skills. It's a very commonly discussed skills, very commonly thought about, very commonly talked about. We will have that in the same PPT. So the problems which are there, I will just address the most common problems because I've been helping chartered accountants out with problems for the last few years now. And the most important thing people have is the lost in transaction, loss in translation role play. Translation is not about languages. Now, it's not about Hindi and English I'm talking about. It's not about Tamil and Hindi I'm talking about. I'm talking about that there is one person, a client, his language is language of business, and he explains the problem to you, and he needs the solution. Where are his solutions? His solutions are in acts, which is legal acts, or I should say law. His solutions can be in the law. His solutions can be in the standards. Standards of accounting, Indian accounting standards, standards on auditing, standards on internal auditing, standards on control, guidelines, rules. These are the questions that he has. These are the way he wants to look at, maybe in the compliance formats, in the rules to comply, right? These are his requirements. What is a CA doing here? You are the CA, right? What is the role of a CA then? Similar things happen in every practice. Medical answers are given by medical journals, medical knowledge. So there is this, what I'm saying is nothing but a knowledge base. Many CAs tend to forget that they they say that okay, you will not understand, I'll solve the problem. No, why will they not understand? The biggest job that we have is we are the bridge between the knowledge base and the person who needs that knowledge. Our job is to translate that technical information into layman information when we are given to the client, and that layman problem into a technical problem while we are talking to the client and taking the problem and trying to solve it. So this is the most crucial part of being a chartered accountant, that we are a bridge between the knowledge base and the persons who require the knowledge. Sometimes people like to say department here. Look, every problem with the department is also again solved with the knowledge, right? Knowledge, licensing, whatever you want to say it, anything. The problem is that the problem statement is you are the bridge, and you have to make sure that you are able to translate well. And there is no exception to it, sir. If you can't explain to the client, the problem is in your skill. Don't blame this on the client that he or she doesn't understand. Learn their language. Try and skip up the word because every CA knows the damn technical part. Your clients stick to you because you speak their language. You are a good bridge between that client and the knowledge, because knowledge base will be same for everybody almost. But if you speak their language, then you might be able to, express better. You might be able to inform better. Things like that, right? Then concise communication challenge. Sometimes we extend the meetings longer than they're due. Biggest problem is having long meetings, long times sitting in a room, explaining to the client, and the client seems to be lost somewhere in between. But if before the client comes, before the client meeting begins, what we do is we write up the solution, the problem, okay, write the problem statement, write the solution statement, and rephrase it in a language everybody understands, in the size everybody wants you to talk in, and then you're able to, express better. The communication becomes precise, concise, and there's a smaller number of words you speak. So, mainly, let me just give it with an example. Let me give an example to do it. Long ago, we used to use Twitter. Now, I think people use LinkedIn more often. So, LinkedIn has a limit of 3,000 characters, right? And sometimes when we write a mail or we write an article or a post, it turns out to be a very long post, and it is longer than we wanted it to be. Because when you're writing, you're not looking at the number of characters. Unfortunately, even in MS Word, it shows you the number of words, not characters. And even when if you start looking at the characters, you will not be able to write freely. So I personally write a lot at a piece of paper first, then I write it in the on the system, and then I put it in some AI or something, and try to make sure the words are spectacular. But more important than not is a situation where you will have to give a thought to you will have to think about. Oh, wait, 2 seconds. More important than not is a thought that first thing first, most of your conversations have the time to plan. So, what planning do we do? The planning that we do is that we first write the problem and solution. So, no matter how many long words do we need, we first understand ourselves. Because when I made that bridge, you remember that you were in the middle of the bridge at both sides, right? No matter the problem is looking at the knowledge part or knowledge is coming and solving the problem, uh, you, my friends, were at this point, at the bridge point. So before you can explain this to them or they explain this to the client, you are the one who needs to first fully understand the problem and the solution. Right, my friends? So, first thing first, you write down the problem and solution statement and give it to the client. Right? Once you fully understand and you've fully written it down, now start thinking about how to send the information here and here. How to explain it to the client comes later. First thing is you should fully understand it. Because then multiple questions will come in, then how will you handle them? Because you understand it, so you'll put it in different words. That can be done in real time. But what cannot happen real time is you cannot start understanding problems real time. That's a big problem. Now let's understand. So once you understand, once you've done it, you write it down for your understanding. And just like we do in LinkedIn posts, you take the final draft of it and start taking, start reviewing it piece by piece. Okay, this point, I think this is enough for people to understand. I don't need these extra words. Let me scrape them out. Maybe this part is really less explained. Why don't I just go through it again and, share an example here? Why don't I do some storytelling? Why don't I do some expressions here? Why don't I do some additional efforts here? Or why don't I just reduce my efforts here? This is doing pretty well. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we are concise, precise, but understandable during every conversation that we have with our clients. Right? All right. So we know what concise communication now. Now let's talk about active listening. One another skill which is very, very crucial, which is very, very which is so important, so key for clients, for your for as a CA, for you to understand is active listening. Now, active listening has been very underrated, one of the most underrated skills, and today it has managed to become from the most underrated skill to the most misunderstood skill. Yes, active listening is a misunderstood skill. For your knowledge, I'm telling you that if you want to read about active listening, I wrote down a book on active listening, and that is available with ICI for you to read. But again, after reading that book as well, I found a few people seem to not get the hang of what I mean when I say active listening. Active listening is about listening to understand and not listening to reply. Now, this seems to be a very easy thing to say, right? The problem is with active listening that if you want to be an active listener, the first thing is that you don't have the patience to listen about active listening. When you're an active listener, it's a very good opportunity for every speaker, every knowledge base to allow you to absorb. The problem is when information, there is nothing like guidance, truth. First thing is information. When information reaches you, so this is you. what is your first reaction to the information? One of the biggest reasons that I failed so many times as in the CA final exam was that whenever I used to read or try to solve a question, or maybe sorry, read any provision, I used to think, how will I do it in the exams, and how will I use it in the real life? This used to slow me down, and I never used to be able to complete my courses in the first attempt or two attempts maybe. And the most important part was that my approach towards provisions was becoming that what will I do with this provision? Not that I was happy to understand, I was happy to learn it. So that becomes a big challenge when you start to, when you start to come towards the examination part, because now you've not actively listened. It's hard to remember, ratification is difficult, gramming it up is very difficult. You can take anything mnemonic, whatever you like. Sometimes while doing mnemonics I used to feel I will not remember it for long term. Then while not doing mnemonics I was having difficulty in remembering because this was not making sense to me when I was reading it. So my efforts, rather than on learning and listening, were on precisely solving problems, precisely thinking that how will this be useful to me in practical life in the future. Very late I understood that while reading or while listening to the provision, while listening to the law, my intention should not be what I will do with this information. Collect it and then think about it. For an example, when you take money from a client, or when you take salary from your bosses, it is often told that you should not have it earmarked before it comes to your account. I'll tell you what that is another paradox. So we say, just like active listening, it is an active receiving practice. So once the money is coming into you, so this is now money problem. When money comes into you, you should not have it already marked against expenses. So sometimes most people, what they do is their money is already marked that where will this money go. Mostly same is with our conversations. Once we start listening is when we know what we have to do with it and we are already earmarked it. And then we start analyzing every money, and even our calls for collections. In practice, you do have collection calls that you make. You call on the basis of your requirement. I've seen people losing the motivation to call once their money is ready. Once they have the funds ready for their upcoming task, they stop calling and they sit very comfortably. It's okay now, I'll call again when I need. Rather, what is important is following a system. Similar is with knowledge. Actively, I've seen, do you think banks need the money so desperately when they're calling and they're having their collection team on the top of their head? Or the vendors that work for us, the DSC vendors, the maybe some book vendors, some asset vendors, IT vendors, do they call us, most of them, do they call us when they need the money, or they just call us all the days? So that is the point. If you just keep it as a practice that my collections will be done on every Tuesday of the week or every Monday of the week, it is a better perspective than, which is the most commonly followed one, that I will call when I need money. No, that is, and you're not even thinking that. Again, that is also not an active thought. That is a reaction to a problem. Now, what happens is your account seems to be drained all the time. You don't sleep well, because ultimately collection will come from calls. No, similarly is listening. If you sitting in this room right now, let's imagine, and you are thinking that what will I do of this information? That is the first and foremost problem that you're creating. And I promise, active listening is the most underrated, underused skill and underworked up skill of chartered accountants. I'll tell you wow. I take sessions on sustainability. I work on carbon accounting and everything. I have very less audience in my carbon accounting classes, but I have a huge number of audience when it comes to auditing standards, when it comes to accounting standards. And I used to speak on income tax around 5 years ago. I had a big audience, full room of it. And when I was taking amendment classes from here and there, people were flowing up inside the rooms without any motivation. Why? Because people want to listen something they can use. They while listening, they are thinking, how will I use it? And now go back after this. Take a diary, take a good diary, a good branded diary with a pen which comes in. It could be any brand that you like. Write around every incident in the next 2 months, 60 days of your life, because it's going to be a blank time after the tax audits are over. So that's why I'm saying 60 days. Otherwise, everything's in 30 days. 60 days when you needed to know something and you did not know it. Once you've written it after 60 days, take 2 days, take a pen, and try and mark that knowledge was available to you, but you did not choose to go it because you did not realize where it was available. For example, today I'm talking about active listening, concise communication. You guys are feeling that how would I use it? No, you would use it tomorrow morning. That doesn't matter. Today you have to listen to me, make your notes, think about this, and rephrase my words, because I'm speaking in the words I understand the best, or I have collected data from so many of my audiences, and I've tried to create the best data possible. You are an individual. Why don't you go back, draft your notes, then connect to the speaker, try and reach him out, that, so this is what we learned, this is what you said, but this is what we feel. What exactly is the bridge of the gap? You will have the answers, I promise. But the problem still remains and will always remain, that you have to listen actively, and listening does not need a response most of the times, except when you're talking to your wife or your husband, because they need a response. If you don't respond, they'll start fighting with you. Just saying, don't apply these in your personal life a lot. All right. So this is active listening. I have all the topics in detail, but I will not talk about topics in detail today, because today we're just introducing that how, with the help of skills, you can make problems into possibilities, make your obstacles into opportunities. All right. So this could only be done in a live session when you're sitting in front of me. But these three things are extremely important, and there are a lot about communication skills. So if it was a communication skills day, I would have make sure that I tell you a gazillion things about communication. But my friends, today it's important that you know about, at least understand the role of translation, that your job is as a bridge. Make sure to, before start speaking, rephrase it in your mind. I don't know how many of you would have seen a movie called Sam Bahadur. It is available in translation, so no matter what language you speak, go watch that movie today. So before motivating everybody for the surrender, the chief of Indian Armed Forces, he writes it down on a piece of paper and speaks. Why at that level, when you've known so much and so much of control, why did he write? If you see that paper carefully, there was something cut, something rewritten. Why? He rephrased everything to make sure he had won on the battlefield. He had won everything. He had army superiority. He had every problem was solved. But still, the words had an important impact, and he wanted to be concise. He did not want to keep on speaking for an hour. He just wanted to be precise that his target was to take a surrender. His target was to motivate people, motivate the opposition for a surrender down. Right? So go watch that movie and you'll understand what is concise communication. And and it's important that you you can go back and watch any detective series or something. Many a times you will see, not that series will not help you in this, because series try to show a heroism that everything that is happening is having a solution and a problem. um, I can recommend a book. It is from a Korean writer. She's Korean American. Mm, the name of the book is The Power of Nunchi, I suppose, the Korean art of happiness and everything else. Uh, yeah, that's a great book. I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the writer. I remember, I follow her. Uni Hong. Uni Hong is the writer. So she has written it very precisely that everything that you see should be noted and then a decision has to be made. Okay, this is all about communication skills, active listening. I cannot, if I speak, if I start speaking about active listening, I am so passionate about this skill that I will continue speaking for the next 3 hours and I would not have ended with it. Conciseness. I love active listening. I love to speak about the skill more than anything else in my career. But is that the right approach? No, that's not the right approach. You have to be concise and talk about whatever is required. Now we'll move up to the next skill and we will try and understand interpersonal skills as well. Today we're just introducing the skills. Please understand you have to go back, think about these skills, develop these skills. Today we are understanding that how, like all these three things, one we talked about. If you don't have a translation, maybe there's a problem with clients that you're not able to, they're not understanding what you're saying, or you're not able to put the problems across to the department very well. Remember, work on your translation. How? By concising up your communication, by listening more actively, so that you start speaking their language. And language is not a different language, but the way they understand things. So this is a problem, which will be an opportunity. How? Because the clients who have a difficult comrade, difficult language, are the ones who will have a difficult time in fixing up to any chartered accountant. But because you speak their language, because you are able to understand them better, they will stick to you. This is a big reason to be there. Many professionals or many staff members or many accountants, the sub accounting staff, they are so happy to work at certain places just because people speak their language, just because people give them that atmosphere which they need. So somewhere down the line, I would want you to learn and understand that this problem can easily be converted into a possibility. It's an obstacle, but it is an opportunity as well. Now let's talk about interpersonal skills. So it involves building relationships. Again, professional relationships, not any other ones. Building professional relationships, the empathy, the emotional intelligence, and resolving conflicts. So interpersonal skills is just like interstate and intrastate. Within the state, if it's the communication skills can be worked up between you and you. You can develop your communication better. You can listen better by just your personal choices. But interpersonal skills is controlling the narrative, controlling the two-way communication. Right? So, first thing is elevator pitches. That when you talk about yourself, when you present yourself, it should elevate the graph. It should elevate your pitch deck where you and your firm stand. How to control the narrative is very difficult, very different than how to, in ICA because of the ethical issues, no, we cannot have testimonials. That's a very good way of controlling that is one good way of controlling the narrative. In the same way, we do not have a lot of possibilities of advertisements because you see in advertisements as well, no product, another celebrity is speaking, so that elevates the deck for everybody, right? Then, of course, it's emotional intelligence and scenario analysis. Like I told you that when we were talking about communication skills, I'm sorry, I'm missing out a lot. So when we said translation, so translation and how was translation doing better if you analyze it better. So scenario analysis is very similar to active listening, but it is more about scenarios, right? How is it different? Mm, It is like listening needs words in front, but scenario analysis is reading between the lines and listening without anybody speaking. So if you're listening to the screen, whatever I've not spoken so far, you can understand a few things by the atmosphere that you see around me. What all can you listen? The room, the screen speaks a lot. So I'm wearing a Team India jersey. That means I do support cricket, and I'm about to watch the World Cup final match, which is about to happen in the next 2 hours. I keep on looking at the clock. Why? Not because I have any problems with the session. I love taking sessions, but I'm too excited to see the women in blue on the ground today. You can understand another thing about me in this screen itself, that I am having a problem. I'm looking at the screen, but my eye contact is working really hard because I don't have members of my session are not on the screen. I cannot see your videos. I cannot see you guys sitting. So it's again another problem. And fair enough, I do, I do move a lot, because you can understand with that scenario that I am more comfortable in speaking in a room and I do want to pitch out of the screen. So this is just some scenarios that I've given to you. Now, without even seeing it, I do understand what kind of an audience I had. Every session, after every session, what can you learn? If you do not get a single query, single person does not ask you a question after a webcast. So we do know the number of people who attended, right? And we do know how many people attended for how long. So by that, we understand that today's audience was somebody who was here for the CPE. Secondly, after you guys go back and message me on LinkedIn, I do understand that if somebody messages me and just says that he wanted to connect, that could mean that he or she was okay with the session, is just trying to add up to the contacts. There are people who take pieces of your session and talk about them in the LinkedIn introduction. That's fine. They just want to make sure that I understand that they were listening to me. There are people who ask precise questions and the problems that they have. Those are the people who were actively listening during the seminar. They don't care how I will react. They don't care what my reply would be. They just want the answer that they are looking for. So this is how I analyze the scenario without you guys saying a word, without ever seeing you, without ever knowing you. Now let's talk about the conflict resolution styles inventory. Inventory means how many arrows do you have in your arsenal? How can you resolve conflicts? In Delhi, you know how conflicts are resolved? Do you know who my father is? That's one of the ways of resolving conflicts. Asking the other person and intimidating them so the fight never happens. This is one way of addressing conflicts. This is one way of resolving them for them. Yeah, this is a conflict resolution. If you don't want to believe it, it is. Another inventory can be, okay, I'm sorry, I just want to move. Bowing down. Third, this is your benefit, this is my benefit. Let's see how we both can be benefited from the scenario. Two problems are solved. Third, and the most precise issue that can be solved is what? For conflict resolution, first thing first, I would want you to take a complete seminar for any day, anywhere it can happen. Because conflict resolution skill, ICAI really has a big, hardcore way of selecting speakers. So that's why I'm saying take ICAI seminars. I don't take conflict resolution as a topic because I seldom have any, conflicts. Because I am more of a submissive kind of a guy. If somebody contradicts my statement, unless there is a loss, I always say, okay, I was right, even when I know that he is not. So probably there are many ways of addressing a conflict. You should have an inventory in place. You should have different ways of reacting, how to handle different kind of people in different kinds of conflicts, and I'm sure you guys will be able to, make do with it. Then, of course, mediation simulations. Whenever you're about to have a discussion, an arbitration, or any kind of an argument, it is better that you rehearse with your teammates internally before going in the live scenario. Why? Because at least 30 to 40% of the scenarios will be covered. Again, similar to active listening, do not expect things to go the way you guys have already thought they will go through, right? And develop your leadership plan. The word that is important is yours, not a leadership plan, but the leadership plan, not a leadership plan. We need the leadership plan. And the distance from to the is longer than you guys have ever imagined. So then team roles and responsibilities exercises, make sure all your team members, all your office understands that what their roles are, what their responsibilities are. And you should do exercises of them. You should keep on, reminding them, reminding, or maybe having a regular meeting on every Friday, Saturday, that they understand their roles and responsibilities. Of course, then have collaborative problem solvings. They collaborate between the teams and then solve problems together, and not think of problems as they come, and we will understand them later. This is not how you operate, my dear friends, right? So we've already covered communication, interpersonal. Now I'll be taking a skill which is far more complex. So that is why, just a moment. I'll be using a separate presentation for it now. Millie, can you confirm that the second presentation is available, the leadership and teamwork presentation? Millie or any of the technical team, can you confirm that my second presentation is available? Moderator, can you confirm? Yes, is the presentation available, the leadership and teamwork? That's fine. Okay. Is it better now? Okay. Can you see the beige PPT that is going on? Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the third skill which we wanted to talk about today, which was the leadership and teamwork. This, my friends, in today's seminar is one of the, or I should say, the key topic that you need to understand. I'm talking about problems to possibilities. The obstacles will become opportunities. How? Single person alone cannot solve big problems. They can just solve issues. So you can definitely win a fight as an individual, but to win a war, you need an army. So you need a tribe. And how does a tribe get made? Don't think about tribe as an office team. Some people say that I only have two members in my office. Why do I need leadership? So you need leadership even if you have friends. Friends group, there are people who are naturally making sure that that group survives, and not by just keeping on messaging them happy Diwali and happy Holi every year. There are other ways, people who make an effort that that one person is connected to five people, and he or she ensures that those five people meet on regular intervals, and he or she is not worried about their personal importance in others' lives. They are just focused about that group survives. So even friends groups can be a good example of leadership, and tribes do help people to get successful, because there are 5 to 6 ambassadors that you've left there, and they'll work for your career like they're working for their career. I'm telling you, this is one of the biggest strengths you can have, no matter what everybody says. So first thing first, there are some characteristics in an effective leader. The presentation will have smaller fonts, but I will highlight the ones which are important, and making sure that you, if you have any problems, just give me a Q&A question and I'll talk about that. First thing is vision and strategic thinking. First thing first, why you are a leader is not because of the position. The first thing is, if you have a vision, ability to articulate that compelling vision, develop strategies to achieve it. So not just that you have a vision. I imagine myself being in a BMW. How will you get a BMW? How will you achieve it? Two things. Are you able to articulate? I will articulate that better to you. That my net worth must be 10 crores before I buy a 1.5 crore BMW. I will not be spending my entire net worth into it. It should not be the most important part of my entire. And there are many people who have it. Like their entire net worth is 1.5 crores, and they have a 30 lakh wagon standing in front of their house. That does not make sense. Anything beyond, and that is if the car is very important to me. Otherwise, I don't ever understand how people spend more than 5 to 10% of their total available funds into a car. I just make sure that car should be enough that it travels you around. And let's talk about house. I want to have a big house in the middle of the top town, top tier. I want to buy some land and build a house on it. The problem is you're not articulating it. So that means you want to earn around, if you want a house in Delhi, you need approximately, and in the very average areas of Delhi, you need 20-25 crores to buy that land today, good 500 yards of land. And then I need around 10 crores to build over it, one story, and there's no special facilities in this. If I need a swimming pool and I need some more modern facilities, I can go to the Foshan market in China and get the developments done. So I think that can make it within 7 to 8 crores. But that means I need 27 crores to spare in the next 15 years. Can I compel people to? Is it a compelling vision? So 27 crores, how much do you make in a year right now? The person tells me that he currently earns 50,000 a month as a salary at that time when I was talking to this person. I said, wonderful. How do you plan to execute? No strategy. Because I believe in myself. I'll tell you about other people. I want to run a multi-partner firm, a 200 partner firm. How many partners do you have today? None. How many friends do you have? None. I don't make friends, but I'll make good partners. How? It's not possible. Set clear goals first. The goals should be clear. I'll buy a BMW. What BMW? What model? Why? What do you need it for? It should be clear, no? What do you want to prove? The biggest problem in people visualizing things, they don't anticipate how many challenges will come. You're forgetting you can get sick, you'll need money for other stuff as well. You'll have kids, you'll send them to school, they'll need money for their school trips. And adaptability to change. This is important. I mean, I don't say setting up big goals is bad. Set big goals up. Okay, let's talk about a normal chartered accountant. Uh, Take him of my age, 30 years old, and let's take his current earnings to be somewhere around 5 to 6 lakhs a month. So if he or she wants to make a goal of buying a 30 crore property in the next 20 years, seems very difficult, but there is some realistic catch to it. So he'll first of all calculate his year-on-year growth and then see that okay, I'll need a big push, so I'll make a partnership. When I need a bigger push, I would make sure that I add a few services. I'll expand into overseas markets, and because I am not scared to spend to develop higher earnings, I will try 10 times, and with the possibility of four good jumps out of those 10 attempts, I'll be able to achieve this. So this is a clear goal and it is compelling. I have anticipated the challenge. I'll have six failures. I've anticipated it. And if I have seven or if I have five failures in the start, I'm okay to adapt and now recalculate and say, okay, I am not thinking about four success now. It's only three success, and let me just redefine my goals. Okay, I'll try to make sure the jumps are big enough so I still get to my goal. Or if not, I redefine my targets. That's it. Fair enough. So that's a leader. That's vision and strategic thinking. Of course, communication skills, we've already talked about them. So these are skills very important for the leaders so that they can inspire, motivate, and guide their teams. You know, again, what are the skills? Active listening, feedback provision, and open communication frustration in the team. These are very, very important things. Now let's talk about bigger skills because communication we've already talked in a narrow detail. So let's talk about decision making and problem solving. First thing first, Analysis of situation. What is analysis? Sounds like a very fancy word. Well, every problem, when I talk about problems, I see problem has basically five aspects. For me, problem has five aspects. One is the threat in the problem, what threat it provides. Like, is it threatening my reputation, is it threatening my finances, is it threatening my family life? For example, uh, let's say ICAI chooses to you know redefine the ICAI, just allow me a moment. So, if ICI chooses to redefine the entire speakers panel, and ICI says from tomorrow it will not have the old speakers, and they will have a new panel created, and all have to give interviews. All of us have to give interviews again, and we'll again come into the spectrum. We'll again be judged, and finally, you guys will be able to realize that if you are worthy or not. So the first threat it provides is that I'll be completely thrown off this list. Second threat could be that my reputation will take a hit. Third threat, that is bigger one, is that I will not have this platform where I can easily go ahead and connect to so many accountants. This is the first threat. Let's talk about other aspects. There are five aspects I told you, and there are absolutely just five aspects of every problem. Second aspect is the origin of the problem. Origin can be anyone. Maybe there are 5 or 6 people who have created this problem. Because of those 5 or 6 people, this problem is being created. Then there are always owners of a problem. Who owns the ability to change the course of this problem? And trust me, there is one case set of problems where the owner of this problem becomes God. And if you are an atheist, the problem becomes of people who, or maybe this nature, you want to say, if it is luck, you want to say coincidence. That is one place where the analysis could go anywhere, and you don't try to control the solution. But the owner of the problem is important. Here, the problem that I'm taking, ICID panels, all the speakers, and again the speakers are being created. In that, the owner of the problem will be ICI. There are owners, what threat, and the origin, and now the important part, the available solution. Not solution, the available solutions. What all can be done? And the most important is my set of priorities towards that problem. This answer will be from threats and obviously the related opportunities. And so, have you written this? The threat that possesses, the origin of the problem, the owner of the problem, the available list of solutions, alternatives, and most important, my set of priorities that is towards that problem. Just all right. Now let's talk about the furtherance is, so we said analyzing a situation. Then, of course, how will one identify problems? I told you. First thing first, the threats. So identify them. What are the threats? Where the origin is? Who's the owner? And then second, the fourth aspect is options evaluation. And then, of course, decision making involves my priority list check. So analyzing and identifying is the first three aspects of my problem. Evaluating is aspect number 4, and the fifth one is aspect number 5. So it could be data driven insights, critical thinking. Data driven is, I have a way of explaining this to my audience all the time, that there is no good or bad decisions. There's no right and wrong decisions. There are just more and less informed decisions. So if you're informed well, you've analyzed it and taken a decision, it's a very well informed decision, because the only thing that decides what kind of a good or bad decision it was, it is the result. And result, I told you that one of the owners of many problems is God, whatever you want to call it, God, energy. If you're an atheist, they call it coincidence. Many places, the owner of the problems and scenarios is beyond our control, right? Then, one of the key skills of a leader today is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is actually a two aspect thing, right? First, one's own emotions and the emotions of others. What does this do? Builds strong relationships and positive team environment. So understand, it takes in own emotions, emotions of others, again, will require active listening, will require active observations. Making strong relationships is interpersonal skills it will develop. So emotional intelligence is one of the key interpersonal skills, and foster a positive team environment. So this is the teamwork and leadership responsibility as well. So what all the skills are there? You should have empathy. You should have self-awareness first, and a lot of social skills. Self-awareness, I told you, before being able to translate as a communicator, first make sure that you are aware of how you understand, what your reservations are, what your limitations are, and after that you can go ahead and attain all the heights that you require, right? Let's talk about the other skills effective leaders have is they take responsibility. They have accountability and responsibility. So they take ownership of actions, decisions, and they hold not just themselves, but others are also accountable for the results. So the problem is there are two kinds of leaders which I'm very sick of. When I am attending the leadership, when we're doing leadership consultation, many people are good at holding themselves responsible. So everything is my problem, but they'll never blame any team member. Some people blame others but never blame themselves. No, you have to hold people accountable. You at your place, they at their place, and both of you take the good responsibility, good old responsibility taking, good old military pants down. That's very much a required scenario on any situation, right? Right. There could be ethical considerations, integrity issues. So, accountability is an important part. So, adaptability and flexibility. Let's talk about adaptability and flexibility. This is another thing where you, okay, this is the word important is change. Whenever things change, you need to change the course. I can tell you the names of people like that. In this scenario, the adaptability and flexibility part, I think if I'm not wrong, uh, if you guys are aware of, however, India has grown from the last 15, 20 years since the times when we were being terrorized in 90s. We used to try and do flag meetings. We used to try and do cross-border talking. We gave name of our agents to them. They killed our agents. And suddenly India started doing strategic striking, and of course, a full-on military action was also prepared this time. This shows adaptability. And the moment they were coming up with everything. They were coming up with drone attacks, we were ready for it. They were coming up with cross-border firing, we were ready with it. Even yesterday or day before they were violating the ceasefire, we were ready, we were prepared for it. This shows flexibility. Circumstances can change anytime. You learn from Indian Army how they change their stance so quickly. Suddenly the BSF turns back, and suddenly the army is there to start fighting the war. The point is, unexpected challenges can happen. You don't anticipate anything to go that big. So this is, and now let's talk about embracing new technologies and methodologies. Again, learn it from the army. Now, sorry, I don't remember who said it, but one of the people said that the invention of a bow and arrow, the basic bow and arrow, was the death of chivalry. invention of a bow and arrow was the death of chivalry. How? So now you can kill a person without looking them in the eye. So if you want to kill somebody with a sword, you have to look them in the eye before you kill them. You need chivalry for that. You need manhood for that. But if you can kill somebody without looking at them, like taking a bow, taking an arrow, throwing the arrow, killing them, where's the bravery? There's no bravery in it. That's so many years ago somebody said it. But today there are intercontinental missiles. You push of a button, you kill so many people and you don't realize. But do we stop calling the armies brave? No, the circumstances have changed. Now the bravery is again, it is required to be a soldier, but again, it is again another level of bravery you require for taking the responsibility of these actions. So being a politician 30 years ago was different, and today it is totally different. Again, the people who are still there upholding the parliaments are the ones who are prepared with those who are ready for these changed circumstances and these unexpected challenges. With a push of a button, you can kill millions, but now it's not about looking in the eye and killing, it's about what happens after you kill them. Right? Of course, you should be open to different perspectives. As an accountant, how do you adapt and be flexible? I'm so glad you didn't ask it. As a chartered accountant, when when ChatGPT came in, AI.ICI came in, I don't know how many of you have still learned to use it. First, people don't use it on the right time. I have a problem with both the people. First, the people who choose not to try, the people who do too much. They're taking AI courses here and there, left, right, and center. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry is coming in and starting a course, and you guys are taking it. Everything is wrong. We have an institution. They provide a course. Why don't you take that? We have IIMs, IITs who are delivering courses for professionals. Why don't we take them? Look, either don't spend any money and do hands-on. Do a hands-on experience. Spend 300-500 rupees. I think it takes for a month. Spend them and try yourself. Keep on learning by learn by hit and trial. That is easiest way. If you want to spend money, then spend the money which is required for it. Either take a certificate course from ICI or either take a good course from another institution like IIM, IIT, anywhere like that. And otherwise, please stop uh, spending and motivating people who are not aware of there was a guy who used to teach Excel 5 years ago. Now he's teaching AI to everybody, and the only thing that they do is they take a webinar for 500 rupees, then they sell a webinar for 700 rupees, then they sell a webinar for 1000 rupees, and then they say if you refer people to our webinar, you'll get paid. Ultimately, it's network marketing. So response to the changing some circumstances, and of course sometimes there are unexpected challenges. What happened a few years ago was not a few years ago, it was very recent. I went to a bank, I conducted the branch audit, we gave a huge MOC, we signed the audit, and we left from there. And because there's a lot of chaos, of course MOCs don't go easy, and it was a big account, so we delivered the MOC and we were driving back, and somehow the customer whose account was involved called us. And of course, there was a lot of stress because as chartered accountants, we don't have any authority which is there to protect us. We don't have special forces protecting us or because of our the ways we do our duties. And of course, he precisely mentioned that 5 minutes ago you crossed this toll gate. That means you're there somewhere around. So I know he could track me down. So I simply said that, please, you simply requested that, sir, I'm not the one. You've called somebody else. Maybe. Because let me understand, it is an unexpected challenge, but what going through my mind, I'm not supposed to talk to the customer in case of NPS. I am not supposed to justify it to the customer. It's the bank who has to take care of it. My job is to talk and deliver it to the bank manager, and that should be my end of my job. So if I would want to save my life, and just by saying, say you got somebody wrong, Maybe I'm this person, but you see, I'm not signed on it. This is not my name. This is my name. You have the right name. Who has signed it? It was my partner who signed it. But then it was enough to confuse an idiot who thinks that threatening somebody could save his NPA. This is an unexpected challenge and and a very unexpected reaction. And my partner was surprised. What am I doing? I said, no, let me just try. And by the time he was confused and he was rechecking and checking and everything was going on, till the bank manager convinced him, I had crossed and I was very near to my home now. And now I was the king. Come on. Now bring it on. I know there are boundaries where you can react. There are boundaries where I can react. Of course, you can write, and I'm not saying that he would have threatened me, but there has been an incident of being threatened in past. We have had that problem, so we were very careful. So it is an unexpected challenge. You need an unexpected reaction. How to respond effectively? Do you start fighting in these cases? No. Even when it was a case where somebody had a weapon and they were talking to us, I could have been adamant. No, I was being very, very precise. I was being very, very explanatory. I was just trying to explain the customer because he had a weapon. I cannot say I stopped talking. Right? So now inclusion of embracing new technologies. AI, yes, today it's the key. But how many of you know how to use Power BI? It's such a very common tool in big organizations. Many people, no new technology, forget about it. Many of my friends have challenges while decoding Excels, which companies give them. Many CS they still don't know how to use SAP, and still are not open to different perspectives. How do we expect an entire industry to bow down to their knees and work to our will if we are not ready to deliver on that basis? And then, of course, it comes about to mentoring and development. You need to be able to guide, support the growth and development of your team members on individual levels. And it involves giving them the opportunity to learn, advance their careers, of course. Yeah. Let's move ahead. So, there are different types of leadership, the different styles of leadership, and they have different impact. So, one leader is autocratic. You can call this like a dictatorship. So the decision making is centralized, control is there, strict control is there, and there is very limited employee input. Employees are not supposed, they're not hired to think, they're hired to do. Of course, it is efficient if it's a crisis situation, but there's demotivation and lack of creativity all around. I would say probably when you are doing a forensic assignment, autocratic leadership is the best. It's a forensic assignment. You have key deadlines you have to deliver, and you have to have a. You want it to be covered. Even in statutory audit assignments, autocratic leadership is required. I want this audit program to run this way, and any changes to it, I am the engagement partner. You have to get it through to me, and that is okay. Being an auditor is is a job of very high responsibility. So autocratic leadership is the only option. Every decision should be centralized, right? Then, of course, democratic. Democratic is again take everyone's opinion. There's a lot of morale, better solutions come up for small problems, but the decision making is very slow. Democratic leadership again, the same problem which is in the country. Everybody has an opinion, keep on giving opinions. Small things take years to happen, right? Then laissez-faire, it requires minimal supervision, high employee autonomy, decentralized decision making. So it is okay, there's creativity and independence, but there is no direction, and there's a lot of chaos in this sometimes. I told you many ones which you think are very good have challenges you're not anticipating. Transformational again, this is where vision is there, charisma is there, intellectual stimulation is there. So these ones are where you are trying to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Okay. This is when you're trying to transform your organization. And then if there is a transaction, like if there is a reward, there is a punishment. So this has clear expectation and performance based incentives, right? Then servant leadership, where the needs of the team and their growth is very important. There's empathy, a lot of listening, and a lot of stewardship involved here. Now there's different impacts of different leadership styles. You can of course go through them or take a leadership workshop somewhere, but these are the ways of leading, and this is the outcome that we are prepared for, right? Of course. Let's talk about developing these skills. You can take a formal education and training. Somebody who can just take classroom training. I do take some leadership workshops, so I'm sure many good educators are taking those workshops. Leadership courses are not just for one to many; they're on one-to-one model as well. Like leadership courses, many people do not prioritize taking a leadership seminar. They like leadership workshop one-to-one. So they'll pay a good amount to a person. They'll sit and they'll talk about how this is being like CFO training programs of IIT. That is one to many cases. So these are courses, there are workshops, and of course there are degrees that you can have. And then, of course, to develop them, you can have mentorship and coaching, learn from experienced leaders. So that's again one thing. And of course, on the job experience. So if you're doing a job, you're already in a leadership position, why don't you just apply it to your job and then develop this leadership skill? Self reflection and continuous improvement means that identify your SW by seeking feedback and setting the development goals. So, like we set up goals for career, for your finances, for everything else, why don't we set up some goals for our personal growth as well? Then networking and collaboration, learn from others, other leaders, build relationships. This is one way of taking the maximum benefit out of it. Before we move ahead with this topic, one of the worst part of being in a room and not having you guys speaking with on my head is that I don't get a lot of feedback. But at this point, if I was sitting there, I'm just trying to do what I would have felt is the need now. So my question would have been that okay, so how will all this help me out in being a better solver? So remember that whenever we face a problem, our first instinct is usually to avoid it. We either say, why me? Or find somebody else to blame for that problem, right? But the truth is, problems are not interruptions in a journey, they are invitations to evolve. Think about it. Every innovation, success story, every turning point of life began with a problem. How? Uber was started because somebody could not find a taxi. Airbnb because somebody could not afford the hotel rent. Even the calculator was invented because somebody was tired of doing a long division. So the real question isn't that do I have problem? The real question is can I train my mind to see possibilities in those problems? That's the skill that drives growth. So with the help of these skills, my important skill that I'm trying to imbibe in you today is training your brain to see possibilities in those problems. And I call it a skill because it's not something you're born with, it's something you build. So, skill is something you can build and you can, of course, work on it. So, this is not something you'll be born with, this is something you can work upon. You build it every time you choose curiosity over complaint, every time you ask, what can I do instead of who's at fault? Every time you decide that instead of avoiding the problem, you'll understand the problem. Not avoid it, you'll understand it. Because when you change the way you look at a problem, the problem begins to change itself. So you change the way you look at it, and the problem begins to change. So the core message is a three-step shift from problem to possibility. Understand? So let's break the idea down on how we actually turn a problem into a possibility. So first, you need to pause. Of course, stop looking at the way you've been looking at it. Reframe and act. So I believe how you can do it is, I'm sorry, I'm using this slide not for this topic, but I'm using it for my own development. This is not the case. Okay. So this is how you will remember this from the future. First thing first, write pause, reframe, and act. So what is pause? Not immediate reaction. Just pause and calm down and look at it. Most of us, the moment something goes wrong, we react to it. We panic, complain, sometimes we rush to fix it, even without understanding the problem completely. But growth begins when you pause. The small pause gives you a space to move from emotion to evaluation. Emotion and evaluation are like train. Like the engine of the train is emotion. Sorry, the engine of the train is where the evaluation happens, and emotion is the last part of it. So emotion kicks in very quickly at times, but for emotion, where emotion start quickly, evaluation takes too long to come. Where evaluation start, sometimes emotion needs some time to catch up to it. So to give them a similar space to breathe, you need a pause from emotion to evaluation and evaluation to emotion as well at times. It's that tiny gap where you say, okay, this looks bad right now, but what's really happening here? When you pause, you stop being in the problem and start looking at the problem. So when we are when we react, no, at that time we are a part of we are inside that problem. So once you reflect, you pause, you come out of that problem, and now you try to solve it. Now remember, it is very, very common thing. I solve others' problems very well, but I don't. I am very confused when the problem is mine, because it's easier to look at the problem and solve it. But it's very difficult to be in that problem and solve it. The guy who gives the best relationship advice is usually single. It's like that. Okay. So that shift of perspective now changes everything. Then let's come to the second part, reframe. Don't just ask questions which are better, ask better questions. Once you've paused, it's time to reframe. And reframing starts with the kind of questions you ask yourself, not anybody else. You have to ask the questions to yourself. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Now, this is a spiritual question where if you believe in God, it's God. If you don't believe, it's the nature, the world around you is trying to teach you something. Know why it's not happening to me. So, what something it's trying to teach you? Why is it you who's been chosen to be taught this? Instead of who's responsible for this problem, ask, what can I learn or improve here? So see an opportunity of improvement. What can be learned because this problem happened, and how can I improve on that? Questions are too powerful because they are direct to your mind and they give a direction to your mind. And when you start asking possibility based questions, your brain starts looking for solutions, right? Reframing is like changing the lens through which you see the world, and the problem stays the same, but your power over the problem increases. Right? Now let's talk about the last and most important part, which is act. Small steps make big shifts. So you act on that problem now. Now, this is the most important part because I say you think, you plan, but you don't act means nothing. You keep on acting, chances of success are at least 1 in a million. But if you don't act, the chances of success are zero in any number of times you try. Because possibilities just do not appear, they are created. Once you've paused and reframed, ask yourself, what is the smallest step that I can take right now? What you can do right now is more important than the other questions. It doesn't have to be productive, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be forward towards. It just has to be forward and towards attaining the goals. Actions bring clarity. Every small step you take builds confidence, and every bit of progress opens up new doors. Remember, there were a problem. I told you to think, pause, then it was pause, then it was reframe, and then act. So P and R was more about your problem statement. And when to reach the problem, act is the bridge between your problem and, of course, so whenever you face a problem next time, just say, pause, reframe, act. It's a simple but powerful message because people who master this, they don't wait for life to get easier. They get better at handling what life throws at them. And that's the key. That's the end of all the discussions. You see, life will always present you with problems. That one thing none of us can control. There are problems in life, but what we can control is how we see them, how we see those problems. Every problem you're facing is life's way of saying, here is a chance to grow, here's a chance to lead, here's a chance to discover what you're truly capable of. The only difference between those who stay stuck and those who move forward is that the second group chooses to see possibilities where others see pain. And once you learn that skill, you become unstoppable because you stop waiting for perfect conditions and you start creating perfect conditions. You stop saying, I wish things were easier, and you start saying, I will get stronger. You stop saying, somebody should fix this. Rather, you say, maybe I can fix this. That right there is the mindset that drives growth. Not just in your career, but in your character. Not just in your results, but in your resilience. So the next time you hit a roadblock, just take a deep breath and remind yourself every problem is a possibility in disguise. The question is, are you ready to look for it? Right? So, this was a small tour that, with the help of all the skills, and these skills are not the detailed answer. Whatever I've said about skills is introduction to skills. You can take detailed courses. The ICS certificate course in PSEC is, of course, you know, where you learn all these skills. But my thing is, after learning these skills, this is one skill which you need to add. So, just I think I hope that I am able to communicate this well to you. Now let's start concluding the supporting skills and moving on to teamwork. Of course, this is a detailed presentation. I am using the presentations that we use at longer webinars, longer seminars where we talk about these skills separately for 3 hours. But then, of course, teamwork in accounting profession is key importances because you have to meet deadlines. There's accuracy and quality control required. The complex projects that are being managed, resources are being shared, and of course, we need improved morale. Strategies are, of course, the same which we've discussed: clear communication, defined roles and responsibilities, shared goals and objectives, conflict resolution, regular feedback and monitoring, and of course, utilization of collaboration controls. Leading and contributing to successful teams is, active listening, empathy, motivation, encouragement, conflict resolution and mediation, delegation and empowerment, recognizing and rewarding contributions. So, what is delegation and time management? Delegation techniques are choosing the right person. The first question is, do you know the right person for the job? Second question is that, do you provide instructions which are clear enough? Third question, my friends, is that do you grant the authority and accountability? If you are giving a problem to a person, if you're giving a responsibility to a person, are you granting him the right authority and responsibility? Then, of course, are you monitoring progress and providing support? Another question. Do you offer guidance and assistance as needed? Do you provide feedback, offer constructive feedback on performance? These are effective delegation techniques. Then, do you prioritize tasks and manage time efficiently? First thing is first, time audit. Analyze how you're now audit yourself. You audit so many clients. Now I'm asking you to audit yourself. Firstly, analyze how your time is currently spent. From tomorrow morning, every time you wake up, make sure your diary wakes up with you. Do it on a pen and paper. Don't use your mobile phone because the moment you pick up your mobile phone, chances are you'll go back into a loop of using the some notifications will guide you towards the social media and ultimately you'll be watching reels for the next 1 hour. So, firstly, use a diary. Use a digital diary if you want to, but at least make sure that digital diary is not on your phone. Then, of course, comes prioritization and techniques. Use methods such as Eisenhower's matrix, urgent and important, or Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. Then prioritize your life, your day, your tasks. Plan and schedule. Create realistic schedules using tools like calendars, to-do lists. I told you a diary. Time blocking. Allocate specific time slots for tasks. Eliminate time wasters. Identify and minimize the distractions that are around you. And then group tasks together for improving the efficiency. Balance the workload and prevent burnout. Goals should be realistic. When we do overcommitment, the biggest the biggest deciding factor in determining your finish line is your starting line. I'm sorry, this sounds to be very, very rude, but this is true. The biggest determinant of your finish line is your starting line. It's important to know where you start from. Many people who say that they have come from very humble backgrounds, they have come from, they are just, we tend to feel that people like Shah Rukh Khan began from where we did. No, we did not. I'm sorry. They began from way higher altitudes. We did not. And you're going to go deeper, read about these people. This is just marketing which tries to tell their story in a way people can relate to it. It's nothing to do with you, it's nothing to do with me. It is just for people like others to relate, right? Unfortunately, many people take it more seriously than it should be. So, realistic goals are important. Not even two brothers together do not have the same starting line because when A started his career, his father was in a mediocre time and his father was also developing his career. But when the younger brother B starts his career, the father was already retired, had a lot of money, and was ready to not lose, but delegate most of his assets. When A got married, the net worth of the family was smaller. When B got married, the net worth was bigger, or vice versa. So, their starting lines become very, very vague and different. So, no two people have same deadlines and set realistic goals. And if you think, like I told you, like I want to live in a, if I say I want to live in 100 crore mansion in the future, after 10 years, if I think that the last 10 years have not been in my favor, I should be flexible enough to make those goals realistic for the next 20. Now take breaks and rest. Oh, sorry, sorry. I want to go back to the realistic goals. I'm so sorry. These days, because of those stock market motivators, some MLM motivators, some CA practice motivators, I don't call them motivational speakers because I still want to respect that word. So these are motivators who will try to convince you that any goal is achievable until you have the right cards and everything can be done with analysis. I'm sorry, not everything is analysis. Not everything can be analyzed. They are trying to analyze the future, which is impossible. Right? It is like expecting to have money. I start gambling and I expect that I'll be rich. So these are modern gamblers because everybody knows gambling is bad. So, of course, the poor one is gambling and the middle class is being pushed into taking investment as gambling. So, just because somebody says that they'll be helping you to do something unrealistic, the first and foremost way to catch somebody trying to push you into an unrealistic dimension is their overcommitment. They'll say something unrealistic. So recently, somebody came to my office and they said that they'll be helping me invest in a property in somewhere in Gujarat, which is Dhulera district, and they said they'll give me 35% commission. I said, how will you give me 35% commission? Any property deal has a 1% and less, not more. If the deal is big, the commission gets less than 1%. So how come do you think that you will be giving me 35% of commission? And of course, when I broke it down, it turned into a multi-level marketing scheme. But the first thing I caught up on was the first I had them at hello, right? So when they told me 35% commission, that was unrealistic. If somebody says that I will help you live a luxurious life, so if I can give 30, then they said we'll get you customers, we'll give you. Whenever things start getting unrealistic, okay, there is two things. One is unrealistic, one is ambitious. Being ambitious is good, but being unrealistic is totally a different story. So, first thing first, maintain a health is first thing first, take breaks and rest. Because you have realistic goals, so you'll not be burning yourself out. Now, make sure there are regular breaks and vacations. Vacations can be anything. If you like to stay home and clean, do it. If you like to sleep over for 2 days, sleep. If you like to watch movies on your TV or movie halls, that's good for you. If you like going out onto the mountains or beaches, do. But do not do everything. You burn yourself out. If you don't like vacations, if you don't like going to travel, you get motion sickness, anything like that. I see people are puking all the way. They don't like to eat other foods. They just like to eat what is made at their home. They're going to the European countries and finding dal chawal there. So what is point in travel? They actually don't enjoy traveling. They just travel because everybody is doing it. So don't take vacations because that again becomes a burnout. Do what you love. Do that part. That's called a break and rest. When you are giving into the peer pressure, you're still working. Maintain a healthy work life balance, which means just not that stop working, stop giving in 35, 40 hours a week, but it means that have some priority for your well being as well. What you enjoy, do that as well. Not that you stop doing what uh, needs to be done, but do that what you enjoy as well. Seek support, reach out to colleagues, supervisors, or mentors. Practice self care, engage in activities that promote relaxation and stress reduction, whatever is promoting it. If you don't like playing lawn tennis, don't play lawn tennis. I love to play lawn tennis, I'll play lawn tennis. You like going to the gym? Perfect. I don't, I won't. It's a beautiful thing which you need to make sure. So, this was the end to this part. Let me just move on to the next part. Just allow me 1 minute. We did cover stress and work life balance, professional ethics and integrity, thinking skills and branding and networking. So, professional ethics is something I will love to talk about, but I think that is still talked about a lot of in a lot of other scenarios. So, I would rather like to talk a little about the branding portion. And of course, we do have seminars where we talk about branding and attracting HNIs. But then, one more thing which you should know, we do not commit that we will make sure you are able to attend it. We are telling you the skills that can help you to attain that. But I don't think that anything is sufficient for others to be successful. So we can only tell that what makes us get there, or what many people have, claimed that has helped them, but not the other part. Uh, Moderator, can you see the last presentation of the night?
Yes, yes, sir.
Perfect. Right. So we were talking about brand building strategies. I would just take it. I will just take the ethical constraints and people who have had issues. So these are the challenges that most of the people tell me when they talk about brand building. Just allow me a moment. I think there is something which I need to do before I enable. Just a minute. Now it's better. So let's start. So let's talk about the common challenges because we need to make sure that we cover as much as we can. First challenge which every CA tells me is compliance and ethics. Now, I run an entire practice of helping CA firms to better position themselves and better brand themselves. And this is not me telling you that I can make you achieve this or that. I'm just telling you that I can do better strategies in this phase. I always say you need to be technically sound, you need to have better services. The core is that if you have good services, good knowledge, good teams, you will be successful no matter what. I can just make sure that I assist a little bit on in that growth. First thing first, there's a balance that every CA firm needs to strike between effective marketing and adhering to ethical standards and regulations. Then, of course, a clear, unique value promotion for CA firms is very difficult. Why? Because again, we as an ethical constraint, again, we are not able to define too much about what we are expert at. But then I'll talk about it. How do I expect you can develop that? Target audience identification. Identifying and understanding the target audience is crucial, but many CAs struggle to even identify today. Even you guys right now, if I give you a piece of paper and give you what are your key clients and what are your ideal clients, many people will fail to write it even today. Then, one more important task is reputation management. Managing and maintaining a positive online reputation can be difficult, especially if negative feedbacks or reviews arise. And then time constraints. Of course, being a chartered accountant calls for more than just the professional work we deliver. It has a lot of commitment towards knowledge development and CPE, which is continuing professional education. And I don't mean CPE seminars. In general, CPE is important for doctors, CAs, advocates. We need to continuously keep learning and developing. Yeah, that brings another set of constraints, and how to get around those challenges. So here are the solutions that I've always told many of my fellows, friends, and accountants, my buddies, that first thing first, research and understand all the relevant regulations. Now, recently there is a lot of proposals of development, and I loved that development. I don't know if you have read that brief or not. I've already posted it on LinkedIn, and what I will be putting a video as well on the new suggested changes. One of the biggest changes which I felt was that now you can take the name of your firm at different platforms. Like today, I'm speaking to you. I cannot tell what my firm name is. Now I can use my firm name here. So it seems to be a small change, but it is a big change, because of course, my branding is not just myself, but my entire team, my entire firm, my entire ethic, which the firm has developed in so many years. Right? Right. Now let's talk about defining the brand. To define the brand, you need to conduct a strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat test. Sit down today. Go back home. Sit down today. Not go back home. You're sitting in your home right now. I'm so sorry. This is how we speak to clients normally when and the audience will go home from the location venue of the meeting. So, of course, uh, sit down after the session and think about it. That what is the strength
of your brand or your firm or your team, you know, what are the things which make your team, your brand, your office a strong choice for the clients? What is the weakness? Why would a client not choose you? What are the opportunities? Where all you can grow? What are the industries? What are the target clients that you can go for? And what, my friends, are the threats to your business? So this will help you to define your brand. Then target audience identification is in this I would suggest everybody should do they should hire somebody who does market research. And then or you can read the research yourself and then of course identify the demographics, characteristics, and what client personas are they looking at. And of course different needs of different target groups. Let's talk about time constraints. Automate marketing efforts such as social media posts, email campaigns, which will help you save time. Right? Let's talk about compliance and ethics. I've always debunked myths, and so will I do today. First thing, myth number one, branding is not allowed for share firms. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is not true. It's not like branding is not allowed, but you can brand through certain ways. You can do thought leadership. Nobody is stopping you to do thought leadership. Specializations, you have specializations, you talk about it, you become a leader in that. And of course, giving quality service. You can always, elaborate, you can always lay down the red carpet for your client, existing clients to make sure that word of mouth goes flowing, right? It's not just allowed, it's encouraged. Myth number two, the use of social media is completely prohibited. No, you can share professional knowledge. I share a lot of knowledge on ethical ground. I share knowledge about environment. I share knowledge about sustainability. I share knowledge about governance, social issues, the ones which are important for my clients. I have shared briefs of reporting into sorry, BRSR reporting. I'm so sorry. After you speak for 2 hours straight, suddenly you start to fumble. Then you can talk about your achievements, but it should not look like solicitation. So if when I've achieved my certification for being into sustainability or a social auditor, I can post it, but I cannot write that I am now a social auditor, you get your social audit done from me. Or any queries can be put through to me. Or any service requirement can be put through to me. I usually avoid writing that you can contact me for any problems because that is understood. No, if I'm posting about it, you can contact me, but I should not write it because when I write it, it amounts to solicitation. You can have general awareness content. Advertising is restricted, but general awareness content is always allowed. Only big firms can create a brand. This is myth number three. I don't know why I forgot to write number. So even small firms can brand through expertise, quality services, and ethical networking. What is ethical networking? Now, for example, after the session, many of you contact me or I contact you, and we are just a network. We all understand each other's work domains by reading from them, by talking to them, and suddenly we have some work which we give them, and they give us some work. That is fine. That's not problem. The problem is when we try to push things over. Even if you guys decide after every session, you reach out to all your speakers or the committee members, all the CAs you know, and you tell them that this is the work you do. CA to CA request or discussions are allowed. Sharing your expertise is allowed. Sharing your work ethic is allowed. Websites have to be minimal or boring. Myth number four. No, you can have detailed websites, but it should be factual and not promotional. You can put facts on the website, but don't promote yourself. Firm's philosophy, team details. Firm's philosophy is allowed. No, team details are allowed. Service areas can be included. What services do you provide? You can't call yourself an expert at it, but you can tell that these are the services I provide. And the biggest successful websites are that if they click on my name, they'll see three services. Even when I practice in GST and income tax, I would not write a lot about it because I don't want to brand in that line. That is my choice. Even if I fought IT, I never write income tax because income tax has enough word of mouth and the amount of clientele that I'm getting from it is sufficient. I want to market into 3 other divisions. I'll only write about those divisions. That's the way you start choosing, right? Asking for referrals is unethical. This is an interesting one. Passive referrals from satisfied clients or professional peers are fine. What is a passive referral? I would just want you to, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, but just sit closely and think about referrals. The last time you were sitting with a client in your office room, and did you ever ask for a referral? Have you ever asked for a referral? I'll tell you. You have, but you didn't realize. Now, firstly, what is an active referral? Before we understand passive referral, let's understand active referral. Active referral means somebody intentionally promotes or recommends me to another person, which is they take deliberate action to connect me to them, proactive effort. The client says, hey, my friend is looking for a CA who understands international taxation. I'll introduce you to her. This is active. A peer sends a WhatsApp or LinkedIn introduction personally and recommends my service. That is active. But let's talk about passive referrals. Is totally different. It's a different story altogether. When someone mentions your name or firm if asked, but does not go out of their way to promote or connect to you. For example, somebody says, "Yes, I know a CA named Nakul who handles kinds of work when somebody asks them." Or my name appears on a list or a website directory, but no personal introduction happens. If somebody, why do we have to say that, sir, get me more files, get me, sir, if somebody asks for anything, just make sure you're there, we can help them. Always say if somebody asks, only then. Not directly somebody starts sharing WhatsApp forwards that connect to CA Millide, CA Nakulora for tax audits. That will be a problem. But if somebody is just going out of the way and just connecting you to people, it's fine. Passive referrals are fine. And now there were 2 questions that I would like to attend to. So I've already seen them. Moderator, can you please ask the questions which are there? I think there are 2 questions which are pending, which we have to discuss. Mary, can you ask the questions which are available if you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir. We have a couple of questions. First one is, how do you respond to a feedback?
How do you respond to a feedback? Just make sure you've noted down that feedback and make sure you've seen. And not always you have to do something about every feedback. Sometimes it's just there are 2 kinds of feedbacks that I say. One which is sensible, you have to do something about it. Say thank you and do something about it. One which is a nonsense, say thank you and do nothing about it. You have to evaluate feedback. Of course, think about if you're confused about if that feedback is true, talk to a friend, family who knows you well, who thinks of your growth, not a power pusher. Many people in your family are your cheerleaders. They don't see bad in you. But there are always very honest friends, family members, and other people who will tell you the truth. So just tell them. If somebody tells me after this session, for example, that you do a lot of storytelling unnecessarily. So the only other person I know was listening was my moderator. So I'll call my moderator and say, did you feel the same thing? And if she says I'm not sure about it, I maybe show this entire video to one of my friends who is very good at analyzing things and they'll tell me. So if the feedback thinks that storytelling is too much, I'll work on it. Otherwise, I'll say thank you on LinkedIn. I'll go back and I'll say, okay, I'll still keep on telling the stories like I do. So not every feedback is to be taken. Yeah.
Just about right. Next question is, what advice would you give someone going into a leadership position for the first time?
Leadership position for the first time. Well, you've been leading a life from a very long time. At least you've been leading yourself. So it's never the first time that you're leading. But my foremost advice is, do not give in to the modern day thought that leadership is, because modern day leaders are just reversing what previous leaders have done. Young people, they just go in and think that they'll satisfy everyone. But the foremost task of a leader is to getting the job done. If you are not getting the job done, it does not matter how good you are with people.
Exactly.
After getting the job done, these things matter, that how you get it done, how good you are with understanding people, and stuff like that. But getting the job done is the first and foremost thing in a leader. And don't try to be a certain kind of a leader, because when you go into that position, you'll reinvent that position. Every chartered accountant brings characteristics of ICAI and gives ICAI new characteristics of what a chartered accountant is. That's the beauty of positions. Every new entrant defines the position. So you also have individual characteristics. Go and be yourself, get the job done. Do not just be a human. Don't try to hurt anybody. Don't try to, demean anybody. And be empathetic. Listen to people and get the job done. The first and foremost thing, get the job done. That's it.
Exactly. So that's it from my side. I don't have any more questions.
Right. So I believe I would like to conclude with just saying that it was lovely being with you guys today, and I hope and I request you guys to go back and support our team. And after 3 o'clock, Indian women's cricket team is going to be playing the final of the World Cup 2025, and we'll have a new World Cup champion crowned, and we will keep our fingers crossed to be it our women in blue. And all the best to the team, and please keep supporting, and let's see each other, and let's share victory messages after a few hours now. Thank you, Millie. Over to you.
Yes, thanks a lot, sir. It was very to the point, straightforward session, which are required actually for success and problem solving and everything. So with this, I would like to conclude the session. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful webcast on From Problems to Possibilities, the skill that drives growth, organized by the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee (ICI). On behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICAI, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, CA Nakul Arora, for his enlightening session. A wide round of applause and thanks to the organizers, Professional Skills Enrichment Committee ICI, our today's speaker, CA Nakul Arora, and other stakeholders who made this webcast a memorable one. Finally, we would like to thank all of you present here and helping us make this webcast a grand success. Thank you, one and all.